It's very hard because there's so many things that the public don't really know about. You have to do a million different things. You have to be like a very soft person if you're rescuing a kitten, and then on the other hand, you've got to be as hard as anything, as really tough if you're running into a building that's on fire. So, and everything in the middle, and the skills you need, the training that's involved. There are, I read something earlier that the only prime minister to work as hard as a firefighter, in my opinion, would be like Winston Churchill. He gave a blood, sweat, tears, and toll speech, and that is firefighting. And firefighting is the road to victory in firefighting. Yeah, in spite of all terror, victory, however long and hard the road may be. So that is firefighting in essence, and everything firefighters do, once they start, they're committed to the project. Look at global warming, look at it's a nightmare out there, and it's always the firefighters, first responders that get called on first to, when we're stuck, we always call on the firefighter, and then there's a million other things that go on as well.
What drew you to it, particularly as hailed as the first female firefighter? Previously a very blokey job with lots of risks. My guess is that when you first started out as well, we've been lucky. I think the number of people who die in fires these days has gone down because people smoke less and all that sort of stuff. But when you were starting out, it was an incredibly blokey, dangerous thing to do. What drew you to it?
I just desperately needed a job. I was 17. It was Thatcher years. I was just stuck. What am I going to... I wanted to have my own flat, my own house, my own door key. I'm a very independent person. I hate being anyone telling me what to do. So like, what can I do to get away from my family? Yeah, so I thought, right. And I looked at any job, and they just happened to have, the advert in the Eastern Evening News, and it was junior firefighters, and I hadn't got a clue what it was. I thought, I'll apply and just see what happens. And that's what happened. So then 15 months later, they turned out a firefighter, and then, on it went from there. Yeah, I loved it. Loved it.
And so tell me about a tough day as a firefighter that you sort of a typical tough day that you remember.
A tough day will be when you get up and then you're on the watch and you go out to an accident, for example, and you might be there, and it's, they're very serious, these things. You've got massive lorries crushing a mini with a mum in or something like that, and you might be having a little girl on the side of the road, and you're trying to make sure that people are calm, they feel safe, and that that they know that you're there for them, really. And the thing is, you never know from 1 minute to the next what will happen next. So you're doing that, and then you'll get called out to a different thing, which could be a chemical fire, or it could be a lady back at the station with a ring on her finger that's stuck, or animal rescues, or suicides in the woods. So it's very much the hard ones are very much the ones where you're connecting with people who are struggling, and all you want to do is to get them safe and sound and out of that instant area.
You mentioned getting cats out of trees. How much time do firefighters spend getting cats out of trees?
There is an amount, but there's every kind of animal you can believe. I rescued a monkey at Thetford. We had this zoo, honestly, and they'd got tropical zoo. I can't remember what it's called now, but in the day, the monkeys got out over the A11, and they're up in the fir trees in town, and no one can do anything with them. And in the end, they called the fire brigade, and we caught them on the church roof. Put the ladder up. My boss is like, Joe, you're a female, you sort it out. And up I went. And anyway, we fed this monkey loads of like grapes and whatever they said us to give her. And then the next day they like called it after me in the paper. It's like, they called it Josephine. So you never know, but it goes from that. And a lot of it's quite serious, because if the animals are stuck, if they're cows and things are upside down, or you've got to act really thoughtfully and try and get them rescued as fast as you can. Yeah, animals are really hard because you can't like talk to them like you can a human. Say, don't worry, we're here. You can like empathise and hope they realise what you're up to, but it's not necessarily the case.
And finally, then, would you swap being a firefighter for being Prime Minister? Do you think that being a firefighter is harder or easier than being Prime Minister? Would you like the top job?
I think firefighting is always much harder. You've got risks that people know about, high cancer risks now. There's so many things that people don't realise that goes into a firefighter's day. And in my opinion, it's a much more difficult but much more rewarding job than any Prime Minister would ever be, in my humble opinion.
So you wouldn't like the top job? You wouldn't like to be Prime Minister?
Well, I don't know, actually. If I had the energy, I'd love it. Put me up for it, Matt.
Well, by the end of this, we'll have decided. By the end of the show, we'll have worked out who would be best for the job. Josephine, really good to speak to you. Thanks for talking to us on Times Radio.
Thank you very much.